Hello gamers, welcome back to another high-level match of StarCraft 2. Today it's time for a Terran versus Zerg, where we find ourselves on the map Waterfall. And first off, in the top right-hand corner, playing with the red Zerg drones from Italy, we have Reynor. And his opponent in the opposite corner with the blue Terran SCVs, hailing from South Korea. We're looking at Cure's main command center. I know, Reynor versus Cure. It feels like I've been casting the same 5 players over and over and over again over the last couple of weeks. But it turns out, there's other players out there too. I know, this is weird. Anyways, of course, both of these guys are ridiculously good. They've both been around for a very long time as well. And it looks like Cure has also been infected with the Barracks on the Low Ground virus. I've seen Björn do this a couple of times recently. Maru has also done it a bunch. Basically, you go for a double barracks opener and then rush a couple of Reapers across the map. Although he does need a gas geyser. Yeah, he's not making a gas geyser. Okay, this is a different build. Oh, you know what? I think... alright. We're starting off with a James Bond mission in this particular episode. Okay, I see. I think there's gonna be one Marine produced out of this one barracks. And then it is Operation Overlord time. Operation Overlord is when you try to kill the opponent's first Overlord. Super annoying. Most of the time, the Overlords on this particular map, they try to hang out above these pillars, but obviously if you can get high ground vision, you can snipe it very easily. Operation Overlord is just about to be in full swing. Reynor at this point doesn't know. Zerg players obviously do not drone scout anymore in 2022 because it's not really worthwhile. Obviously, it's gonna come at a small expense right here for Cure as well. I mean, obviously some early game vulnerabilities as well. Now he sees it, but yeah, no way. I mean, he thought about going there. Yeah, I guess at this point he's saying, yo, I guess my best case scenario right now is that I force my opponent to lift off the barracks. He's gonna lose production here momentarily. He really wants to try and get towards that dead space over here. If he can... No, you gotta split them up. I was gonna say, if you can get over there, that would be huge. A mental victory, more so than anything else. But in the end, Operation Overlord is a success. You love to see it. This does slow down the early game of the Terran quite a bit though, right? So you look at this as a Zerg player and you're like, oh my god, that's the worst thing that could have possibly ever happened. But normally, there'd be a couple of Hellions coming up. Normally, we see at least a reactor here. Yeah, I think we're still gonna see the switcheroo. But everything has been delayed for the Terran player for quite a bit as well. So I don't think it's one of the biggest investments here that you could have gone for. But it's certainly still an investment, right? Operation Overlord is not free. In the meantime, though, Zerg has followed this up with a third hatchery as well. Going for the triangular position right here on Waterfall. A lot of players like to go for the one right over here instead. But I guess that Reynor will be making his 4th hatchery in this location. One of the advantages of having the hatchery this far forward is that spreading creep towards the center section of the map also becomes a little bit easier, because obviously the queens are going to be able to spread creep a little bit closer to the middle of the map already. So even though it can come at a little bit of a cost, especially if the opponent decides to go for some of that elevator play, right? And maybe a couple of benchies that go back and forth between the 3rd and the main, and the queens are going all the way around every time. There's a small vulnerability here for Reynor, but nothing that he hasn't dealt with many times already before. Okay, one cheeky little Hellion, tasked with killing a creep tumor. Not gonna happen. Medevac also coming up on the back of this, so I guess we're gonna go for a Hellion drop in the main base or something along those lines. Already though, there's an Overlord covering this section of the map, so I don't expect that to be able to do a lot of damage, especially now with a creep tumor in the main and Zerglings already waiting for that exact move right here. I think that's the plan anyways. I'm not exactly sure what otherwise we'd be using the Medevac for. You can go, yeah, just load up the Marines, I guess, and go for a small little attack. So 3 Hellions is enough to one-shot a drone, so if he can get close to a mineral line, that would be very nice. Maybe if the Marines create a distraction in the main base, then suddenly all the Zerglings and the Queens are, well, occupied, and then the Hellions can drive in, but... honestly, this is one of those early game tests, right? It's more or less a skill check at this level of play. Guys like Reynor generally don't take a lot of damage in the early game, but hey. Well, 1 drone. 2 drones. Don't lose a Hellion, though. If he loses a Hellion, that kind of loses the entire effect of this early game. Yeah, he does lose one. Okay. Yeah, Marine's still going to town over here as well. Getting a queen. Not. Yes. Jimmy over here, man. What a badass. That must have been the guy in charge of killing the Overlord earlier as well. Well, he's dead now. He's lived an exciting about 4 minutes. More exciting life than many of us, though. I've been alive for a long time at this point, at least compared to Jimmy, and not experienced nearly as much as him. Alright. Lair is just about to finish up here for Reynor, who I believe does have a Baneling Nest, yes. This is the European standard, the one build that we've seen them go for many years now. For a little while, we saw a lot of Zerg players opting to go for the double evolution chambers first, where they had got some, they would get some quick upgrades, and they tried to leverage their way into a solid mid-game. The problem is, without Baneling speed, Terran players have gotten super good at those marine-based attacks. They can really split up their bio army very nicely. Without at least the Baneling speed upgrade, life can become very, very tricky. Now, there's also something over here. Yeah, it's gonna be a Liberator. In the natural expansion, killing a handful of drones. You know what? This early game, he still keeps the medevac alive as well. No, don't lose it. Okay. This early game is actually looking really solid right now for Cure, though. I mean, I didn't think he was going to be able to get a whole lot done at all, but picks up perfect amount of losses. Liberator in the main base is going to get sniped, but in the end, 10 drones, 29 Zerglings, 2 queens. At the cost of a couple of early game units, not bad whatsoever. Third command center is also going to finish up at a reasonable time. If that one wasn't here, this entire early game, yeah, you do want to morph in the orbital first. But this entire early game would be kind of pointless. There's the orbital command, and now we have the additional barracks coming up. We do need to start up some upgrades, Cure. Cure. There you go. The other one? There you go. Sometimes these pro gamers need a little bit of loco coaching. Even though this game was played as when we were casting this a couple of weeks ago. Doesn't really matter all too much. Sometimes the pro gamers need coaching in hindsight. I'll be Captain Obvious. I'll be pointing out all the obvious mistakes. A lot of Zerglings and Banelings, though, set up for us around here, and this could be an overextension right now from Cure, because he's sitting out here, he's slow pushing, but in the meantime, Zerg has been making a lot of army. The Zerg army at this point is significantly bigger than the Terrans. So Reynor is going to collapse on top of this. The question is when. Okay, well now he finally spots Cure, that is, that there is a Zerg army waiting in the wings. Zerglings split off against the siege tanks here. Banelings want to blow up against the bio army, but it's not even a necessity, as a Reynor cleans that up easy peasy. And with that, I think creates a lot more stability for him. One thing that he doesn't have yet is any of his Evo chamber upgrades. So that is going to make the game a little bit trickier. He's now trying to go for a counterattack as well with the leftover Lings and Banes. Dropping the main base of the Terran is getting denied. Yeah, so now finally do we have an Evo chamber coming up as well as a 4th hedge. This is Reynor basically saying, okay, I'm going to cut a corner here. I know my early game wasn't flawless. Even though a commentator in the future may say that I'm really good at that early game, I do make mistakes from time to time, and he decides to cut a corner and, well, go for a single Evo chamber here as well as a 4th hatch. But all of that is quite a bit delayed. This means that unless Cure loses a big chunk of SCVs, or maybe his army for free, Cure is going to be at an advantage. He's already got the armory finishing up. He's going to be able to go into the 2-2 research here very shortly as well. If he's on top of that, I think life is going to be pretty sweet right here for the Korean Terran. Yeah, I think he actually intended on making double Evo, but prioritizes the +1 carapace upgrade. Very important against those siege tank-based armies. Straight into 2-2, by the way. So Cure knows exactly what he's doing. I've seen Cure play some fantastic StarCraft 2. Like, whenever we discuss the strongest Terran players in the world, and I've mentioned this many times before, but guys like Cure, like Bunny, like, there's a bunch of players out there that are really, really strong, and yet we don't really discuss them or give them as much credit as, for example, like a Maru, or a Bjorn, or a Clem, or even Hero Marine doesn't seem to get as much credit as he really deserves. Maybe credit isn't deserved. But there is no denying that Cure is amongst the very best. It's just that maybe he's a little bit less consistent as some of those other guys that I just mentioned. But when he's on point, he's on point. Medevacs sliding on the right side of the map, trying to get into the main base. We're going to try and bypass that, okay. The medevac without the units in it leading the charge. It's not going to get killed, but nowhere to go for these guys now either. One medevac goes down. Second medevac may very well get hit as well by that spore crawler. Although, nope, once again, it's going to be the one in front that is going to take the brunt of the damage. And that happened to be the full HP one. Cool attempt there from Cure. Small investment in the end. Just ended up losing one medevac. Now he's securing himself a 4th command center. Creep spread. Looking pretty good here at this point. Love to see a little bit more of it though. Baneling landmines now being set up here as well by the Zerg. Good targeting here by Cure. Picks up at the last moment. He's playing with fire, but so far he hasn't burned himself. Good targeting. Okay, yeah, okay. He was gonna, yeah, it's just a matter of time, right? If your name doesn't start with a B and ends with Yun, you'll likely end up burning yourself there in the end. Yeah, it's tricky. Infestation Pit, at this point, finishes up. He's gonna be able to go into a hive here momentarily. If Reynor can push this game forward for another 15 minutes or so, I think he's gonna be able to stabilize. It's just that it's really difficult to stabilize from here. 15 minutes is obviously a bit of an exaggeration here, especially if Terran doesn't go straight into 3-3. I'm surprised Cure... Okay, I was gonna say. Okay, I'm not surprised anymore, Cure. I wanted to say that I was surprised he didn't start it up yet, but he did it right away. We even have the armory upgrades as well coming up for the siege tanks. Really nice. Now he's gonna go for the additional command centers. This would be the moment to add on the Ghost Academy as well. Anyhow, at some point what I'm getting at, right? These upgrades, they're all gonna be the same. You can't go any higher than 3-3 research. So if Reynor can get there eventually, it doesn't really matter as long as he's still at a solid point at that point in the game. Or at a solid spot. So this map does generally force a little bit more of a passive situation here for Terran. Ooh. I mean, after these first bases get acquired, normally Reynor is very much so the kind of guy who will try and prevent this 5th base from coming up, but so far, he just hasn't had the chance in this game, right? All of this is a result from that early game. Second factory is coming up, or is it the 3rd factory? No, it's the 3rd factory, I was gonna say. It'll be a very late 2nd factory. Speaking of late though, he still does not have a Ghost Academy. Does he? No. Interesting. Vipers are coming up. Adrenal Glands is coming up as well. Do we have a Lurker Den? I don't think we have a Lurker Den. No, it's going to be Hydra Ling Bane. Well, mostly Ling Bane here, together with Vipers. A couple Queens for support. Okay, he scouts the couple of Banelings on the ramp. Good targeting here once again. He's pushing as well on the right side of the map, or at least attempting to. A lot of missile turrets being set up in interesting positions. Gotta compliment Reynor, by the way, considering the early game wasn't entirely perfect. He's been playing a fantastic mid-game so far. One problem you'll run into here as a Terran, and, well, as a Zerg as well, is that this base on the low ground, obviously the map is mirrored, the base on the low ground is very difficult to acquire. Okay, here come the Vipers. They're ready to, I think, Blinding Cloud indeed. Maybe a couple of abductions would not hurt either. Planetary here helping out quite a bit. Marines desperately running away. Banelings right now taking a ton of splash damage from the Planetary itself. Picks up and gets on out of there. Okay. Can he kill the CC? He can kill the CC. Wow. That fight seemed a little crazy to me. And I didn't think it was going to go well for the Zerg at all. But Reynor just managed to pull a rabbit out of a hat there. That was actually nuts. He killed a bunch of command centers. Shut down some SCVs. Killed the army. I don't think he's feeling all too comfortable, but he's feeling a lot more comfortable than he did a couple minutes ago. I would love to see Burrow on that one Zergling, by the way. Although I guess it doesn't really matter. Army over here on the left side. Banelings once again. Get targeted. Cure is doing a phenomenal job targeting Banelings in this game so far. Go ahead, give it a try in your own matches. Tell me how it goes. I've tried doing it, and then you accidentally either like right click, right? So you don't want to be right clicking. You want to be attack moving for sure, because if you're right clicking, you miss your clicks. You move command. I know this because I've move commanded straight into Banelings before, which is not ideal. You want to be attack moving, but obviously if you don't micro it perfectly, life becomes a little bit tricky. Anyways, Cure once again coming in through this choke point. Missile turret guys once again being set up. Still no ghosts. Cure, where's the ghosts? Where, like, that's like your ultimate late game units. You need ghosts to kill the ultras, you need ghosts to kill the lurkers, you need ghosts to kill the vipers, you need ghosts to kill the brute lords, you need ghosts to kill the queens. Yeah, I missed the unit, but what I'm getting at is that the ghosts are very important. Vipers, though, flying pretty far forward. Missile turret guys once again helping out as well, trying to soften up those units quite a bit. But the real danger here is those Zerglings, the Hydras, and the Banelings once again. Reynor is forcing Cure to leave this position, and he cleans it up. Without a planetary in this location, yeah, there's really no way that Terran's gonna be able to hold on easily. And this is now starting to look a little bit more desperate, actually, for Cure, who's got a lot of money still. But this expansion is important. He does not have to base at the 9 o'clock position either. Okay, Reynor trying to trade out a couple more army units here. But he doesn't have the expansion on this side of the map taken either, so he's just on the 4 bases here that we've seen at the start. Planetary fortresses, by the way, in key locations. Love to see that. Army here moving on the left side of the map once again, and this is one of the reasons why Cure has been struggling a little bit in those fights on the right side, because he's got a lot of supply caught up in units that aren't really doing a whole lot in that battle. Oh, Baneling landmine there as well on the ramp once again. Pretty much the same location as earlier. Cure scouted it that time around, but Reynor is starting to claw his way back into the game. +3/+3. Just about to finish up. Lurker Den, coming right up as well. 3 Vipers, still up in the air. Don't consume your own hatchery, that would be bad. Army here, okay, does get cleaned up, but the army at least kills the hatchery. So you can see what the plan right here from Reynor was, right? He's doing a fantastic job. After that early game didn't go so well, he had a plan, he knew exactly what to do. Did just end up losing 2 hatcheries though, and that is going to make things a little bit trickier. Right now his income is not going to be as good as he wants it to be. Reynor wants it to be at, you know, at least the 1,000 more minerals a minute than his opponent. But currently he's not there. Okay, we're going to move once again. Missile turret guys once more shooting away at those Vipers. Missile turret guys are actually getting a lot of value. Blinding clouds left, right, and center, but this time around I don't think there's enough Zerg. No, there most definitely is not even close to enough Zerg. That said, though, we do have a lot of gas available, and if there's one thing I would like to see Reynor spending his gas on, it would be lurkers. Left side of the map is getting scanned once again, too. The reason, by the way, why the cleanup was easier this time is because pretty much the entirety of the Terran supply count was on the right side of the map. Reynor trying to rinse and repeat the same location 7 times. It worked the first 6 times, it seems, but Cure managed to clean it up easy peasy. But this time around, that means there's no counter pressure over on this base anymore. Those missile turret guys, by the way, how many lurkers have, how many Vipers have gone down? 4 Vipers. That's kind of funny. We're going into Liberator play too. Just make a Ghost Academy, Cure? Maybe Cure is showing us the no ghost challenge. No idea why he's making it harder on himself though. Ghosts are just amazing, right? Like genuinely the best late game unit by far. Well, now the lurkers are out. I don't see how Cure is going to be able to do anything without ghosts. Yeah, okay, there we go. Double Ghost Academy starts up right away as soon as he sees the first spines of those lurkers. I don't know why I didn't make that earlier, to be honest. He's had money for it for ages. If this was Maru, he would have built it at like the 8-minute mark. Anyhow. Yeah, no, you can't push in there, mate. He's trying. He doesn't believe me. Alright, now 4 ghosts are coming up. Look, Cure wanted to play a lurkerless game. Or a ghostless game, but then there were lurkers and he couldn't. He's just a very respectful Terran, okay? The new patch notes seem to indicate that ghosts are overpowered. So Cure, respectful as he is, decided to not make any of those units to show us that Terran doesn't need it. But then Reynor ruined the party when he made lurkers, okay? Bit of a jerk move right there from Reynor, but hey, it is what it is. Mules are gonna continue mining over here. Okay, command center actually needs to be repositioned ever so slightly. Those abductions, though, are fantastic, right? We've seen a lot of siege tanks going down now. 25 in total, wow. Okay, yeah, so he's abducting wherever he can with those Vipers. Preferably those ground units, those expensive ground units into the lurker spines. Tactical nuke on the production tab. This is something that Cure is going to be able to fly across the map momentarily. But this is now turning out to be a pretty sick game, though. We have a Zerg rain dance right over here on the left side of the map. A little bit of partying. They're going to try and secure that expansion over there. Sensor tower in this location, though, sees exactly what's going on. Yeah, good wall up here. It's not going to be easy to break through that. So Queens, Vipers, Zergling Hydras, and whatever reinforcements are here. And then the majority of the movable Zerg army is going to be here on the left. Now Banelings are coming up, so I do think that he's probably intending on blowing up this wall momentarily, but that planetary fortress is in a really good position, where just a bunch of Zerglings and Banelings alone are not going to cut it. Don't consume your own hatchery. Don't do it. Stop. Okay, there you go. Lurkers once again want to move forward. This time around there are ghosts, though. No EMPs. Hello? No EMPs. That is kind of interesting to me. Ghost cloaking, by the way, coming up. Enhanced shockwaves. Enjoy the research while it lasts. Okay, he's going to be able to get a couple of libs once again. Liberators are apparently being tested with right now with the new multiplayer balance patch. An addition to the multiplayer patch where now the Liberator is going to be 25 gas cheaper. Kind of interesting. I think that's to make up for that little ghost nerf. Okay, well, you know what? They'll still be able to do this just fine in the next patch of StarCraft 2 as well. Those snipes helping out a ton. Double nuke, by the way. There should already be a nuke available, and there it flies across the map. Another nuke is coming up here as well for Cure. Cure still has a ton of money in the bank. Don't know if you want to be nuking your own ghosts. Last time I checked, that's not the ideal way of playing it, but at the very least, the Zerg army is forced to back off. Great spread on those siege tanks. He's still one entire base down, though, at this rate, right? So, I mean, Reynor has had a hard time mining this expansion, but at least he's mined it quite a bit. Cure is trading more cost efficiently here, but he's losing that entire base at the 9 o'clock position. There's another tactical nuke. I love the usage of the tactical nukes here, by the way. Very tactical indeed. Brenda, no! Brenda, no! Anyway, it's a clever move. Right now, Reynor is making himself up, though, to fight right here from the left side. Planetary Fortress not done just yet, but look at the spread on those siege tanks. There are so many more that I think Reynor is aware of. He's trying to abduct left, right, and center wherever he can, but there are so many firing away. That triple factory production helping out quite a bit. That was a very expensive loss. At the same time, there is a little push over here on the left side, but a few lurkers should be able to prevent that from killing the hatch. I think, maybe, potentially. Reinforcing Zergs, at the very least, will be able to pull that back, but maybe Reynor should think about taking this base over here. I know that's an even more difficult one to acquire, but denying this expansion here has been expensive. If we look right now at the resources lost, this is where the story really is told, right? That makes up for that entire base that Cure is missing out on so far at the 9 o'clock position. Just doing a phenomenal job microing his units. Still producing, by the way, 3 of those siege tanks at once. I really like the late game, actually, here from Cure. I didn't really like the idea of not having a Ghost Academy. But honestly, he's been doing a phenomenal job. Like, Liberator, triple siege tank production with Marine Marauder Medevac did a surprising amount of work. He just needed ghosts to deal with some of those lurkers. Now he's pushing right here on the left. He's pushing right here on the right. I think he's going to be able to get 2 hatcheries once again. The Zerg swarm ready to invade this area on the map once more. Siege tanks, though, are spread out everywhere. Ghosts are sniping all of the Vipers as well, and blinding clouds are thrown where they can land. But in the end, Cure is the one who obtains the victory in a fantastic game of StarCraft 2. Hey, if you enjoyed watching this video, please take the 1 second that it takes to hit the like button down below. Thank you very much.